Hello. This week we read Parshat Korach in Israel, and next week they will be reading it in Chutz La'aretz, in the rest of the world. This Parsha is loaded, just loaded, but I am going to handpick out a few things that I would like to talk about because they think they need to be focused in on. And the first thing, obviously, the Parsha opens up with the words Vayikach Korach. Korach took. The interesting thing is, it doesn't say what he took, and I've always seen it as he took, according to the explanation that he persuaded the people. That's how he was able to start this mass rebellion. He took them with words, power of persuasion. He was a very, very smart guy, and we're told that he waited for an opportune moment. When he saw that the people were disgruntled. We see everything that went on in the last Parsha. There was so much downfall with the spies and the people accusing Moshe and saying, take another leader and let's go up, and all the death. And so now Korach saw the mass unrest, that people were not so happy, and he was an opportunist. He took this moment to settle his gripes. He was upset. We're told that he wanted the kahuna. He also wanted to be a Kohen. He was a Levi. And he goes on to accuse Moshe of nepotism, of taking all the power for himself, of appointing his brother Aaron as the Kohen Gadol, and that's what he did. But I think that, again, to go back to this word Vayikach, he took. Korach was a taker. It doesn't say what he took because it didn't matter. He was always taking. And that's how he operated. We know in his life sometimes there are people that are very strong takers or givers. Hopefully most of us fall somewhere in the middle. But there are those extremists that either need to take everything for themselves or they're always giving. He was one of those takers. We'd have to think that Moshe and Aaron were the pole opposites, always giving of their time and energy and effort to the people, to God, whatever. But this, of course, is what caused the friction, because Korach wanted the highest position. And it's a problem. And we see basic psychology played through. Right away, he accuses, that was the accusation against them. Rav lachem, he says it's too much. He accuses Moshe that you've taken it all for yourself. And always, if you want to see what somebody's biggest negative, problematic thing is, you go and look to what they're always accusing others. And you see here, he's accusing Moshe of trying to take it all for himself. Why? Because Korach wanted it all for himself. And here he was, he was smart enough, he knew who to go to. He knew Datan and Avir and their type of personalities, and On ben Pelet, he went. And then he stands the most important people, the 250 Anshe Shem, people of name, people of repute. He took the people that he knew, if he went through these people, he can have his influence all over the nation, because he knew how to connect himself. He made those connections, he played them, and he was working it. And obviously he was very successful in starting this massive rebellion against Moshe. And what's even smarter is that if he had a legitimate complaint, this is why we see that what he was saying was not legitimate at all. If he had a legitimate claim, he would come to his cousin. Probably, like most people, if you love your cousin and you care and you have something that you really want to get, you go for a private meeting and you try and work something out. This is not what he did. He went full force in public with all the leaders against him and just hurling accusations at him. He was not trying to work something out. He was trying to start a rebellion. He wanted to be in the lead, and he attacked Moshe and front of the people in a place where he could not be contested. What was that? He said that you're taking all this for yourself. How smart is that? The only person who knew that God appointed Moshe was Moshe and God, because that was on the mountain way back when, before he took them out of Mitzrayim. God came to Moshe and appointed him. And when God told him to choose Aaron, that was a private conversation. Now, Korach, I don't think he didn't believe it was all from God. He just knew that that was a point that couldn't be proven. And since Moshe was a Nav and Kol Adam, it's not something that he went out and bragged about. And therefore, it was something that was quiet, that was unknown. And if he said it, nobody could contest. You don't know that. Nobody knew that. He couldn't be contested. And that's why Moshe fell on his face right away, because what is he supposed to say? No, I'm the best. God chose me. God wanted me and only me. He wasn't going to say that, so he fell on his face. The only way he could prove otherwise was to ask for a supernatural occurrence, to ask for God to show that it was him who appointed them. And that's why he had to ask for these supernatural occurrences. That's why he had to say, God, make your fire come down and take the one who you chose. That's why he had to say, open the mouth of the earth and swallow up Korach and his congregation, because the only way to prove his authenticity coming straight from God is to ask God to show them that it was God's approval by doing something. That is God's response. It says everything. It says, yes, Moshe is right, and these people need to be punished. It takes care of everything. And so that's why that happened. And I think something that's even more important is to analyze, what was this all about? What was the problem with Korach? Now, we're told that Korach was one of the richest men that had ever lived. Him and Haman, they say, were the two of the richest men. But Korach was smart, and he was holy, and he was a good person. But the problem is that he got caught up in all of that. It's so hard to take a step away from your ego when you're blessed with brilliance and riches. And the problem was, if you think about it, I heard something that I really, really liked, because another opinion of why Korach waited till now to rebel was that before the instance of the Chet HaMeraglim, when they were going to go straight into the land, and it was only a short spurt of time, he can handle the fact that he wasn't the leader, because he was so powerful and he was so rich, and this didn't matter to him in short term. But now that there was the sin of the spies, and they were going to be wandering in the desert for 40 years, and that Moshe and Aaron were going to be the leaders, and he was going to be just a Levi, which obviously Moshe said to him, it's not enough for you that you're the Levi, that you were chosen to do this great service. But no, it wasn't enough. But he was willing to suffer it for a short period of time, but now there was going to be 40 years in the desert. He was just too much for him. And that makes so much sense if you think about even everything about it. If he was so powerfully rich that he needed 300 camels just to carry the keys to the treasuries, he had so much stuff that it becomes, things are riches and materialistic things are really amazing until you're traveling. Nobody wants to travel with tons of stuff. It weighs you down and it doesn't serve you. It's just a pain when you're traveling. And now his riches meant nothing. He's going to spend 40 years in the desert just having to take care of them, just having to travel with them, and then to die out in the desert. All his life's work and accomplishment and stuff was for nothing for him now, because he wasn't interested in using it for a higher purpose, because if he was, then he wouldn't care, because he would just devote it to the nation and to the future, and he would be okay with that. But now he wasn't. He was upset. He was burdened down. He was a nothing, just like everybody else is what he thought, and he was trying to instead make that an equalizer, that we're all great. And really, because he wanted the kahuna, that the people who are just trying to say we're all equal, when they round up the people, is really because they want to be in charge of the people. But I think this is such an important lesson for us, especially now for people, that it's really, really hard in America to make aliyah, because they're so used to all of their stuff, but that stuff is weighing you down. And it doesn't have to. And you don't have to worry about coming here and being a nothing here when you were established there with the big house and the lots of stuff, or at least a set life. Because that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about at all. What it is about is doing what your soul is calling you to do in the moment. And what I love about the example that we're told that Korach used when he was trying to convince the people, as he came to Moshe we're told with the tzitzit, and he said, if you come with a beged, if you come with an article of clothing that is all of techelet, do you still need one strand of techelet? And Moshe says yes. And to me, this is very symbolic of something more than we've been told, and that is that sometimes we're told in life to do something that makes us like everybody else, and we still have to do it. Or sometimes we're told to do something, techelet against Lavan, and to be so obviously different from the rest, and there we have to do it. Even it could be the same exact act, but sometimes it differentiates you from other people, and sometimes it makes you one of everybody else. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the exterior is. What matters is what's asked of you to do at that moment. And I think when we make these big decisions in life, is we shouldn't look at the exteriors. Okay, we have to be the techelet. We have to be that string, that part that we are supposed to be, no matter what it does externally, because that's what's true and that's what's right and that's what endures forever. And Korach should have done that. Korach had it all. He could have been a great Levi and a great influence of the people, and he understood Torah, he knew Torah, he could have influenced people for so much, but it wasn't what he wanted in the bigger picture. So we have to do what's right. And they all lost so much by just being able to be drawn into the madness. And I feel like that's what's going on now in the world. The world is full of madness. It's full of people that are hurling accusations at other people for their motives that cannot be proven one way or another. You can never prove somebody's motives. Arguing a person's motives is low. It's very low, because you put in negative ideas in people's minds, and no one can ever know why somebody really does something. Even a person himself doesn't always know why they're doing something. And we get caught up in the madness, and we believe a lot of what we hear. We can't help it. Even when Korach made these accusations against Moshe, even after he was swallowed up in the earth, the people still complained based on what Korach said. It influenced them so much that even after they saw the ground open up and swallow him, which is a horrendous thing, they were still influenced by what they said, and they rebelled again against Moshe. They complained. So it has such a negative impact. What we have to do is, when we're in a situation, when we want change, when we have questions, when we doubt, you have to go respectably and question and look honestly for an answer, and not be pulled into ad hominem attacks, not be pulled into character assassination. We can't do that because we'll never get to truth. You have to look for truth in an honest way and shed all the slander and all the garbage around it, and do the best you can. And right now I'm telling you, we can all do that. We can all do that, and let's reassess what we're doing, what we've listened to, how we've been affected, because the world's in a state of craziness for a reason, and a lot of it has to do with us getting caught up in this way and just believing things that we hear, that we haven't checked out, that we don't know are true, and that's not going to get us any closer to truth. Try to strip that away. Try to look for what's good, right, and true. And Moshe's argument when he said to God, and he was complaining after he went to the tent of Datan and Abiram and tried to talk to them, and they wouldn't listen, and he said, I did not even take one donkey from them. Moshe honestly was out to help the people. He was the absolute opposite of someone who was so involved in chumrius, a donkey, right? How do we say a donkey is chamor? It's the same word as materialism, as chumrius. And he said he didn't take one thing. He didn't care. He didn't care about anything. He just cared about helping the people and doing good. And that's what it's got to be about, is let's look out for the right intentions, the right things, try and do things the right way, because that endures forever. That's why Moshe is Rabbeinu. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom.